Okay, Atlanta Falcons head coach Raheem Morris has caught in some heat for some bad clock management. If you know me, nothing I hate more than bad clock management. Let's talk about what happened. I'm going to pause this play right here. This was in the first half. This wasn't even the main one people were talking about, but it's worth mentioning. So you see that, Penix runs a nice play. They're able to get the ball inside the 25 with 40 seconds left, and they have all of their timeouts. So time shouldn't even be a factor on a play like this, right? I mean, you're good. Let's try and see if we can get another touchdown and make it a 14-point game. However, instead, Raheem Morris elected not to call a timeout. They would not even really hurry up to the line too much. So again, pausing it here just so we can set the stage. There's now just 16 seconds left. They let 24 seconds burn off the clock just to run one more play. They have all three timeouts, so they can work over the field, but it's a little bit of a trickier situation now. Time did become a factor. Now, Atlanta would ultimately not get any closer and still kick a field goal from where they were at on fourth down. So you could argue it didn't actually affect things. It still does change the strategy, though. So I would say it affected things at least to some degree. And on a bigger picture, it was a mistake, right? This is something that should not have happened. Now let's go to the bigger one later on in the game. So it's this play where you're going to see there's 40 seconds left in the game. Michael Penix takes a snap. I'm going to pause it right here. You look at where they're at on the field. They're at their own 19-yard line, tie game, 40 seconds left, but you got a couple timeouts. Penix is going to make one of what we thought was going to be one of the big plays of the game. I'm a Tampa Bay fan, so once this happened, I'm thinking that's it. The Falcons are going to win because they're at the 45-yard line. There's 33 seconds left, and you have two timeouts. This is a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer to call a timeout here. Because the reality is, with those two timeouts, you're not going to save more time on a play later on with these timeouts. You might save around the same amount of time, but you're not going to save more. So just call it now. It allows you to know, to assess where you're going, and you don't waste it. Instead, what ends up happening is they, again, go to the line and don't go too quickly. I mean, it takes pausing it right here, we see that the play clock says 25, meaning 15 seconds have ran off the clock. I'm assuming they had to call another play here. That just takes too long, and it's just not worth it when you have a timeout. On top of this, it would have been okay had Penix made this throw, but ends up, I'm not sure if he was fully on the same page with his receiver. Nonetheless, they miss it, which now means that you only have 12 seconds left. You got two timeouts, so you can work the middle of the field, but you'd rather have the time here. A couple plays later, they got a penalty, but because the time was low, this is the situation where I'm going to pause it right here. It's a 56-yard field goal, but they're kicking this on first down, and they still have a timeout in their pocket. Had they saved that, or had they burned that timeout earlier, they'd be in a much better situation. They would have had roughly 17 seconds left, which means you don't even have to work the sideline. You could go over the middle and then hurry up and spike it. So they would have had another play to get closer. Instead, they have to settle for a 56-yard field goal with a backup kicker in. This kicker, he's, again, given how this kick goes, you have to assume they can't have felt great about that going into it. It was one of the shorter kicks you'll see all year. It's tough. He did have to make sure he hits it on line. He's a backup. You can't blame the guy, but it's not great clock management. And this is a game that the Commanders and the Falcons both felt like they had to win. If the Falcons now, they need a New Orleans Saints win, the final game of the season. That's never a good place to be in. So, yeah, definitely some mistakes here by Raheem Morris. And, games can be won or lost on these types of decisions. You got to be better.